Did you know that there's actually ways that you can lose your earnest money deposit when you're purchasing a home? In this episode, I'm going to share with you 6 reasons that can cause that to happen. Welcome everyone to this episode of the Ask Jason Gelios show. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Out of all the things that you could be watching, you chose to watch this, and I really appreciate that. Now, I'm going to share with you 6 ways that you can lose your earnest money deposit. And if you're not sure what that is the deposit that you put in, the good faith deposit that you put in with your offer when you want to purchase a home, right? So you submit your offer and you say, okay, I'm going to put down $1,000, right? Depending on how much the home is, how much your offer is actually. So there are ways that you can lose that, and while there are contingencies in place, I'm still going to share with you 6 ways that can happen. Before we dive into this though, if you can go ahead, if you're not following me on social media, go ahead and do that. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on future episodes. Really appreciate that, guys. Okay, now, number 1 is if you fail to meet deadlines. If you're not hitting those deadlines, right? The deadline to get the inspection done, the deadline to get the appraisal done, the deadline to close, you could potentially lose your earnest money deposit. You have to do your due diligence and keep the process going. You can't be stalling, can't be hanging out like, okay, I'll get to that home inspection in 2 weeks. No, it's usually within 7 days. So you just want to make sure that you are hitting those deadlines so you don't lose out on your deposit. Number 2 is getting caught up in a bidding war. Now, a lot of times what happens is, okay, multiple offers come in and you're on the buying side and it's like, okay, the buyer feels pressure, like, well, you know what? I want my offer to be accepted. So, I'm gonna waive the home inspection contingency, right? I don't care about that. Let's just go. And emotions are high, and you tend to not make a choice decision, usually. Okay, it doesn't happen every single time. So if you want to back out, if you're going through the process and you find out that something happened, you're probably gonna lose that earnest money deposit. And every situation is different, but chances are you will lose it. So if you get caught up in a bidding war, you don't want to just get emotional about it. Just still make a sound decision, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Now, number 3 is if you agree to a non-refundable earnest money deposit. This may seem crazy. Why would someone do that? However, it does happen where a buyer says, you know what, I'm not going to want my deposit back if I change my mind on the home. And so that's one surefire way that you will lose that earnest money deposit. Number 4 is failing to understand as-is buying. This should be explained to the buyer from their agent, and that's if you're buying a home as is, you can't back out even if you have an inspection. You're like, you can back out, but you'll lose your earnest money deposit. So you're purchasing a home and the seller makes it clear that it's as is. They're not doing anything to it, not changing anything, and you still have an inspection, which I still think you should have one, just to give you a report card of the home so you know what's going on in and out. But if you just say, well, I'm not interested, your chances are the seller is going to keep your deposit. And again, this is, a seller may just say, okay, they may feel bad for you, they may release it, but chances are no. And then we got number 5, waiving contingencies prematurely. You're excited, you're negotiating back and forth, or your agent is with the other agent, and you're like, I just want this home, I don't care, right? I want to get into this home by Christmas, by New Year's, whatever your deadline, right? Or I have to move fast, and so you just waive certain contingencies. Let's say you don't care about appraisal. You'll put more money down to cover if the home doesn't appraise. And so what happens is, emotions happen, and if you change your mind, because you're starting to realize, wow, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Then what happens is you're like, wow, I don't want this house anymore. And the seller is like, you know what, we had this house off the market for, 3 weeks, right? However long. And we're going to keep your deposit. And they have every right to. So Number 6, this one, again, you may be able to get seller remorse where they're like, we feel bad for you, but if you just bail on a home purchase for no real reason that it states in the agreement, right? The house appraised, it inspected well, right? You just like, well, I don't know, I can't buy this house anymore because, you know, personal reasons, somebody became ill, whatever the case may be. Yeah, a seller, depending on the situation, may feel bad, but they don't have to. They can keep your deposit. They can say, well, you know, sorry, but we had this off the market. We have to make the mortgage payment, right? If the seller has a mortgage payment, they're more than likely going to not release your earnest money deposit. They're gonna be like, well, we gotta cover that. And we could have had potential buyers and everyone else coming through. So these are just 6 ways that you can actually lose your earnest money deposit, also known as EMD. So I really appreciate you guys watching this episode. I love the questions that I get. This question I've got asked multiple times. I should have done a show on it sooner, actually. But I really appreciate you guys watching here. Be sure to visit my website. It's allabouttherealestate.com. A pop-up will come up, and that allows you to receive this valuable show weekly in your email, along with other shows and videos that I do. So really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you have a great week. Thanks guys for watching this episode of the Ask Jason Gelios show. Did you know that I also have a podcast? Go to where you love your podcasts, where you love to listen to those podcasts, right? Search Ask Jason Gelios show, or you can search my name, Jason, Gelios, and be sure to subscribe. Take me on the road with you, right? You can hit audio. I add episodes all the time. Be sure to subscribe to my podcast. Thank you.